Coming up on this edition of Hawkeye News. Recently, Principal Russ Shepman was proud to announce to Hawkeye News that Red Oak High School has its first ever National Merit semifinalist. Mr. Shepman has the details and explains who the big winner is straight ahead.
Plus, the new Career and Technology Center is starting to take shape, and we decided to take a closer look inside as it is set to open by the fall semester. In addition, we have a follow-up to last month's look at the construction at the new Red Oak City Hall and Municipal Center.
Also, Hawkeye News sports reporter Robert Kent brings us a story about Red Oak High School senior Matt Esparza, who spent his summer playing soccer in Brazil. Details later in our show.
And it's time once again to check back with Hawkeye News reporter Katie Stanglin in our newest segment called What's Up at the WC. News at the freshman campus coming up.
And finally, the race to the White House is heating up as the Republican National Convention came to a close earlier this month. We take a look at the latest CNN polls and an update on the 2004 presidential election. All coming up on this edition of Hawkeye News.
You're watching Hawkeye News with Christian Henson, Natalie Hillary, Sports with Brady Sapp, News coverage from the Junior High Bureau with Lexi Belote, plus academic and student life reports with our Hawkeye News team. Hawkeye News. Leadership you can depend on.
Welcome to this edition of Hawkeye News for September 2004. I'm Natalie Hillary.
And I'm Camille Webster. Christian is on assignment.
September was a busy month in Red Oak ISD, and we have lots to bring you this month as we approach the holiday season.
Hawkeye News is committed to bringing more news and stories from all across the district during this month's extended team coverage.
First, we go to Hawkeye News anchor Christian Henson, who is on assignment this month and joins us from the Founders Day Parade and festivities. Christian?
Thanks, Natalie and Camille. Even though September 11th will never be forgotten by most Americans as a day of horror and tragedy, this year 9/11 will also be remembered by many Red Oak residents as something totally different, a celebration of our city's heritage and the annual Founders Day Parade and festivities. The event marks the 26th annual Founders Day celebration, and this year's theme is Red Oak's All-American Joyride. I'll have information on the parade and all the activities coming up later in the show, plus this month's district in 60 seconds, and an update on the presidential election. Natalie and Camille, back to you.
Thanks, Christian. We look forward to hearing about that and much more.
Plus, our team coverage continues with a look at what's to come.
Seniors, you ever started thinking about your career after high school? What job do you really want to do for the rest of your life? Maybe you thought about law enforcement. I'm Jared Ustry, and this month on Hawkeye News, I had an opportunity to ride along with the Red Oak Police Department and get a first-hand look at what it's like to be a police officer. I'll have the full report coming up.
I'm J.D. Foster in Dallas. The State Fair of Texas means an extra day off for most teachers and students across the Metroplex. A chance to have fun and attend this annual event with family and friends. But we many times forget that Fair Day can also be an unsafe day if we don't practice good safety rules. I'll have details on what fair officials are telling us to look out for this year coming up in this month's crime report.
Many called it the most deadly rainstorm to hit our area in years. I'm Tamara Llewellyn in Ovilla. Later, I'll bring you a closer look at the progress on the rebuilding of the Ovilla Bridge and some of the challenges being faced while the construction is being completed. Also, how local residents are keeping their thoughts and prayers for those who have lost loved ones in this tragic event. But first, back to Natalie and Camille for this month's top stories.
Recently, Principal Russ Shutman was proud to announce to Hawkeye News that Red Oak High School has its first ever National Merit Semifinalist. This award is from the results of PSAT scores. For more on this outstanding honor, we went straight to Mr. Shutman to explain what the award is and who this big winner from Red Oak High School is.
We are here today to honor Rebecca Milliken and her folks. Rebecca has received a unique honor this year. She is a National Merit Semifinalist, which means that Rebecca has placed in the top 16,000 of all the seniors in the nation in her PSAT scores. Well over 1.3 million students took the test, and because she scored so high, she is now recognized as a National Merit Semifinalist. And it's quite an honor. This is actually the first one we've had in at least 10 years, and we're still researching back to the last semifinalist we had. We've had commended students every year for the past several years, but Rebecca is the first semifinalist in quite a long time. So it's quite an achievement for her. It's a testimony to Rebecca and her work ethic, and also to her parents and for the job they've done with her. And it's also a testimony, I think, to the teachers and educators in the school district who've worked with Rebecca to get her where she is today. So it's quite an honor and achievement. And Rebecca now will go on to try and become a finalist, and she'll do that by filling out an application, sending in an essay, and getting recommendations from people around her that have been a part of her education. So we wish her good luck, and they'll announce the finalists in the spring.
I was very surprised that I got this, and I'm proud that my parents and all my teachers helped me with it, and thanks for all the help.
We're very proud of Rebecca and proud of all of her hard work through the years.
We join Mr. Shutman in saying congratulations to this fine Red Oak High School student for this outstanding accomplishment.
In a follow-up to last month's Counselor's Corner, we decided to check back in with our wonderful counselors to see just what the theme of this month's topics are all about.
We just finished going to senior classes and talking about things that seniors need to do to get ready for college. One of the first things we mentioned was signing up for national tests. The tests are here now. Students can sign up for the SAT or they can sign up for the ACT. We offer the ACT here on our campus on October 23rd. Students need to sign up by this Friday, or they can sign up late but have to pay a $15 late fee. Practice materials for this you can get online, or you can pick it up in the counseling office. Also, you can sign up for these tests online. If you go to onlinecollegescouting.com and go to the green box in the left corner, that will take you to the sign-ups for all of the national tests. In addition to that, seniors need to start looking at filling out applications. There's one common application for any public school in the state of Texas. You can pick it up in the counseling office and fill it out, or you can do it online. Once again, if you go to Online College Scouting, in the green box in the left corner, it'll take you right to the common application. If you're a sophomore or junior, we have some stuff coming up for you too that involves college preparation. The biggest thing is going to be the PSAT. The PSAT is a practice for the SAT. It does two things. One, it puts you in contention for national merit competition if you're a junior. But for most of us, what the PSAT does is to serve as a practice for the SAT to get us ready to take the national test. The booklets are in your English classes. Your teacher should be passing these out, and there's a practice inside the test, the explanation booklet. The test is going to be on our campus on Wednesday, October 13th. It goes from 8 in the morning until noon. I have 350 slots for this test. It's going to be the first 350 kids who come to sign up beginning September 20th, and it ends on October 1. Last year we had 260 kids take the test. This year we'd like to see a full 350 take the test. If you have any questions about this or anything else regarding things coming up for college or for any kind of testing question, please come to the counseling office and see Ms. Miller, Ms. Hervey, or myself. Thank you.
Thanks to all our great counselors for the job they do to help keep us on the right track to graduation. We'll check back in with our counselors in the coming months to see what's new from the Counselor's Corner.
The new Career and Technology Center is starting to take shape and is set to open by the fall semester, if not before. We decided to take a closer look inside and out of this awesome new facility that will serve many of our high school students for years to come. The new Career and Tech Center is 55,700 square feet and has space for auto mechanics, cosmetology, building trades, art, psychology, chemistry, biology, physics, business computer information systems, technology system labs, auto and video lab, and principles of technology classroom. The building, which was part of the 2002 bond package passed by Red Oak ISD voters, will allow students to learn valuable lessons in these areas and could very well set students on a career path they would not have been able to become involved in the past years. Currently, auto tech and cosmetology have been doing their training around campus as well as off campus on the field trips, but you can bet they will be excited to move in and start a new chapter in learning at Red Oak High School. We will bring you more updates on the new Career and Tech Center, as well as updates on other construction around the district in future editions of Hawkeye News.
In a follow-up to last month's look at the construction at the new Red Oak City Hall and Municipal Center, we decided to take one more visit to see what the finished product looks like. The Municipal Center officially opens its doors to the public on Monday, August 30th, and although finishing touches are still being done, the main portion of the building is up and running. The building, which offices the Municipal Library, which is set to open in September, will also house offices for the Economic and Industrial Development offices, as well as offices of the City Manager, City Secretary, and other staff members. The building also has a large conference room that can be rented for special events such as wedding receptions, corporate meetings, and community events. The building will also be welcoming something new to Red Oak, a nice museum where guest exhibits will be brought to Red Oak in the coming months for our citizens to enjoy. The building is located at 200 Lakeview Parkway at the intersection of Lakeview Parkway and Clear Creek Drive. The building became necessary after the fire which destroyed the old City Hall a few years ago. Red Oak ISD stepped in to help out the city by offering temporary office space at the Acorn Academy. And while the staff at the city is very grateful to ROISD for the use of the space, you can bet they are very excited to move into this beautiful building. City officials welcome local residents to come by and take a look at the new facility, and a community-wide open house will follow in the coming months.
We continue now with more top news stories from our area, with a follow-up on what many called the most deadly rainstorms to hit our area in years. This month, our very own Tamara Llewellyn brings us a closer look at the progress on the rebuilding of the Ovillo Road Bridge and some of the challenges faced while the construction is being completed. Tamara?
Many of us recall turning on our televisions and remember reading in the newspapers about the Ovillo Bridge collapsing. Two individuals, Mr. Watson and Mr. Sawyer, were killed in the incident early on that July morning. Police do not know what happened that day, but they have an idea. Police believe that because of poor lighting and the rain was so hard to see through that neither Mr. Watson nor Mr. Sawyer saw where they were going and accidentally ran off the bridge. Their trucks were found within a mile of the bridge and their bodies found downstream towards Red Oak. The bridge has lasted since its original construction in the 1950s, especially since so many people use the bridge to get where their everyday lives call them to go. Because of the bridge being out, the city of Avila has detours which Chief Moon believes are more difficult for those not only in the city of Avila, but those who live in Red Oak and other cities who use the bridge to get where they need to go. Detours include Westmoreland, Shiloh, and Bryson. The construction is supposed to be due by the 13th of November. Chief Moon states that as soon as the governor found out about the bridge being out, he immediately titled it a disaster area, and funds for reconstruction were immediately released. The people in charge of construction said that they could have it done by the 13th of November. As a reward for every day the construction is finished before the deadline, they will be awarded $1,000. But for every day the construction is not completed past the deadline date, the team will be fined $1,000. Because of that incident, the bridge will not only be wider than the original, but the city is trying to ask TXU to help put lights on the bridge to try and prevent this incident from occurring again. Reporting at the Avila Bridge, I'm Tamara Llewellyn, Hawkeye News.
Thanks, Tamara. We look forward to seeing the bridge completed and continue to send our thoughts and prayers to those who lost loved ones in this tragic event.
One of the most important events of the year for our seniors was recently held on September 15th. The annual college night brought in many colleges and universities to give our seniors a first glance at what each has to offer. College night is a big event for seniors who are looking to make a decision on where they may spend the next few years of their academic life after high school. Our counselor's office works hard to bring in colleges and universities to give our students a good look at what they have to offer us for our futures. The counselors hope this event each year will continue to grow and become an important information session for Red Oak High School students. If you need more information about a particular college, you can talk to the counselor's office. Again, we want to thank the counselor's office for providing us the opportunity to help us help ourselves now and in the future.
This month, our sports reporter Jared Ushery jumps out of the sports world and into a patrol car to bring us a closer look at the world of law enforcement. Jared?
Natalie and Camille, recently I had an opportunity to ride along with Officer David Rogers of the Red Oak Police Department to get a first-hand look at what it's like to be a police officer. While most of an 8-hour shift is filled with driving around patrolling and doing paperwork, it is those few minutes or hours that push you to the limit in all kinds of situations. The career of law enforcement is one that is many times underpaid and underappreciated, but when we need the men and women in blue, they can become very important. If you're looking into the world of law enforcement, the door is really wide open, from local small-town officers to large cities like Dallas and Fort Worth, to federal jobs such as FBI and DEA. Each of these has a different level of education attached to it, and students who are interested, although you cannot get your peace officer license until 21, should begin studying their own course right now. Many departments have websites that will tell you of their requirements. Again, while some only require the basic peace officer license, still others require different amounts of college credits and peace officer certifications. Some smaller departments cannot pay officers to go to the academy, so many have to do it on their own, either full-time 40 hours a week or in stages over a 1.5 year period. Red Oak is a growing community and has seen a lot of changes in the past few years. The department has recently moved from the old fire station building on Red Oak Road to a first-class facility at Methodist and Avila Road. The new station has 4 cells that can house multiple inmates. The department is going high-tech with new technology that will allow them to do their jobs quicker and more efficient. Chief Fullerton, who is also a Red Oak High School graduate, and his staff are working hard to protect the growing number of citizens in the community. After riding along with Officer Rogers, I had a chance to ask some questions of evening shift Sergeant Nick Flores to get his take on law enforcement as a career.
The decisions you make not only affect you, but they affect your family and all those around you, all those who know you. Take pride in yourself. Take pride in your city. Take pride in your school. Be proud of where you come from. Some of you will be police officers, lawyers, doctors, and have different types of jobs. And all of you will be the leaders of our country. So be smart out there.
As you can see, being a police officer, like most jobs, has its highs and lows. But riding with these guys, I can tell you they are out there for protection of all of us. If you're interested in a career in law enforcement, begin looking at the department's websites and talk to your counselor about a plan. I would like to thank Officer Rogers, Sergeant Flores, Chief Fullerton, and Lieutenant Anderson for allowing us to ride along and learn more about the world of law enforcement. Reporting from the beat with Red Oak PD, I'm Jared Ushery, Hawkeye News.
Many are still asking about how to get a copy of the 2004 Shattered Dreams movie before they are gone. Hawkeye News has been told that order forms will remain in the front office of Red Oak High School and West Campus until October 1st, 2004. After October 1st, all orders will be filled by Alan J. Oliver Productions, and the movie that many have called the best educational film on drinking and driving they have seen will be out of circulation. Students or staff members who wish to order a copy of the movie can fill out the order form, enclose a check, and send it to the address listed on the form. The movie stars many of this year's seniors, including Robert Kent, Jared Ushery, Matt Esparza, myself, and Lacey Jacobs, as well as 2004 graduates Rachel Selvey, Matt Rios, Holly Hoffman, Jessica Tebby, and Kevin Thomas. Copies of the movie are $25, so be sure and stop by the office today and pick up your order form before it's too late. A portion of the proceeds also benefits Project Success and ROHS Had It.
September 11th, a day that will never be forgotten by most Americans in 2001, was a day of horror and tragedy. But September 11th, 2004 will be remembered by many Red Oak residents as something totally different, a celebration of our city's heritage with the annual Founders Day parade and festivities.
To bring us a look at how RHS students took part in this fun day, we go to our news anchor, Christian Hinton, who is on assignment this month, and brings us this report from Founders Day 2004. In addition, she'll have this month's District in 60 Seconds and an update on the current polls at press time for the presidential election. Christian?
Thanks, Natalie and Camille. This year's Founders Day was held on Saturday, September 11th. While September 11th is usually a date that Americans look upon with sadness, this year in Red Oak it was a day of celebration. The entire town seemed to be there with a parade, music, tons of food, and fun. There were performances by different groups that topped off the day. Many groups had booths, including many churches, school clubs and organizations, and businesses from all around Red Oak. Some say that it seems silly to celebrate Founders Day. However, if it weren't for our founders, we wouldn't be living in our great town. Founders Day gave the community a chance to get out and have fun together. So if you didn't attend this year, mark your calendars for next September, because there's no doubt in my mind that it will be just as great, if not better than before.
This month's District in 60 Seconds is brought to you by Red Oak Car Wash, located at 311 East Ovilla Road.
It's time for our September edition of District in 60 Seconds. This month we focus on FFA news, banana splits, fundraising fun, and Red Oak High School Had It, all on this month's District in 60 Seconds. FFA Meet and Greet. Red Oak FFA held its annual meet and greet on August 31st for new members and their families to get to know more about the great FFA department. FFA President Matt Butler and his officers did a great job at the opening ceremonies. 27 students and 41 parents joined the Booster Club during the event. Woodland Elementary students earned banana splits. In order to earn a banana split, students had to read at least 8 hours over the summer and practice their multiplication tables. They were given a 5-minute, 100-question multiplication test and had to score at least a 90%. Congratulations to all the students who participated. Eastridge Elementary creamed staff for fundraiser. Eastridge students recently got a chance of a lifetime to throw pies in the faces of Principal Christy Benedict and teachers Tracy Pitts and Rob Hampton. This was a reward for doing an outstanding job in last year's school fundraising drive. Congrats to those students and Miss Benedict and her staff for being good sports for a good cause. Had It off and running. Red Oak High School Had It organization has begun their annual membership drive for 2004-2005. If you have not picked up a membership form, please get one from your campus office or see Vice President in charge of membership, Zach Manison. And that's your District in 60 Seconds. As we get closer and closer to the election of our next President of the United States, Hawkeye News will continue to bring you news from the election front and a special look at the candidates of the minor parties. The election of your president can be one of the most important decisions in your life. You have to think that the president decides how much taxes you pay, who we can marry, and if we go to war. These are just some of the decisions that affect everyday people like you and me. Since press time, both parties have had their national conventions that let them speak their minds about issues that they will stand for or against and to rally voters. While the frontrunners of the election still are Bush and Kerry, there are other parties that often go unnoticed. Ralph Nader is a candidate for the Independent Party. With the help of Project Vote Smart, we here at Hawkeye News found out his opinion on some of the major issues on the mind of American teenagers and young voters. Please remember that the opinions shared are not necessarily those of Hawkeye News, but that of the candidates. On the issue of abortion, Nader says that he will support it in the event of rape, incest, or endangerment of the mother. Nader will also cut off funding for national missile defense, but increase funding for active personnel. He would also support civil unions between same-sex partners and increase funding for Pell Grants and Stafford Grants to make it easier to afford college. Another minor party candidate is Michael J. Badnarik for the Libertarian Party. On the same issues, on abortion, Badnarik would fully support legal abortion. However, he would reprimand the public funding of abortions or groups that support them. Badnarik would increase funding for national missile defense, but not totally get rid of it. He agrees that civil unions should be legal for same-sex partners. However, on the issue of education, Badnarik gave a firm reply that education was not the responsibility of the federal government. However, major party candidate Bush and Kerry are still ahead in the polls, almost tied at press time. You can stay informed on all events in the election by going to www.chooseorlose.com, a website designed by MTV specifically for young voters. I hope everyone enjoyed September as much as we did at Hawkeye News. Founders Day was great and had great food. I'm Christian Henson, Hawkeye News. Back to you, Camille and Natalie.
We hope those who are of legal voting age will take the time to learn more about the candidates and will exercise their rights to vote in November. Thanks, Christian, and we look forward to having you back in the studio next month.
Now, it's time once again to check in with our sports anchor, Brady Sapp, to find out what is going on in the world of Hawks and Lady Hawk sports. How are things going, Brady?
Well, ladies, we've already seen some highs and lows from our athletic teams as the season in football, volleyball, cross country, and fall tennis are in full swing. We'll bring you highlights from all these sports as well as a special report from Hawkeye News senior sports reporter Robert Kent on one dedicated Red Oak High School soccer player who spent his entire summer working to get better in his sport, all after a word from our sponsor.
This month's Hawkeye News Sports is brought to you by Danny Humphreys at State Farm.
Welcome back, Hawks sports fans. Let's talk sports. We start off this month to look at the varsity Hawks football team, who have run into some very tough pre-district competition this year. The Hawks opened the season with a tough loss on the road at Hewitt Midway by a score of 54-6. The offense was unable to get on track, and the defense had their hands full all night with the high-powered Panthers offense. A bright spot for the Hawks was strong running from sophomore Rodney Cooper, who had 151 yards on only 7 carries, including an outstanding 82-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. The defense was under attack in the first half and did a much better job in the second half, giving up only 7 points. The Hawks would then come home to see if the hometown crowd could help right the ship, but once again would run into a team on the rise, the Justin Northwest Texans. The game started out as a hard-fought contest after an outstanding 80-yard touchdown run by quarterback Ryan Cronkite and a Matt Lemons point-after attempt. The score was tied at the end of the first at 7-7. The second and third quarters were not so fortunate for the Hawks, as the Texans scored 10 points in the second and 7 in the third to take a 24-7 lead going into the final quarter. The Hawks would play this one even, and with a great 45-yard touchdown scamper by Ryan Cronkite, the Hawks would fall just short at the end by a score of 31-13. Cronkite led all rushers with 146 yards on the night. The defense looked much improved and seemed to be coming into their own as a unit heading into the game versus Fort Worth Southwest. The Hawks would enter the game fired up against Fort Worth Southwest, but once again would run into a team that looks to be a playoff contender in their district this season. Southwest jumped out to a 6-0 lead after returning a fumble 27 yards for a touchdown. The Hawks would fight back on a 40-yard touchdown run by Rodney Cooper, and after a failed extra point attempt, the score was tied 6-6 at the end of the first quarter. The Raiders took control in the second quarter, outscoring the Hawks 20-6. The final score would read Southwest 43 and our Hawks 19. Individual leaders on the defense for the Hawks were Lee McDowell, Matt Cook, and Matt Dash. On the offensive side, Hawks were led by quarterbacks Troy Elliott, who was 6 for 8 for 59 yards, and Ryan Cronkite, who was 4 for 10 for 40 yards. The Hawks would next travel to Midlothian, but came out on the short end of a 41-10 contest. We will bring you scores and highlights from our homecoming game against Woodrow Wilson, as well as Lancaster on our October edition of Hawkeye News Sports. In Lady Hawks volleyball action, the team just keeps on winning, despite losing many of the team's leaders from last year's playoff team. At press time, the Lady Hawks are at 19 wins and 10 losses, with matches coming up before the show airs against Lancaster, Maybank, and Corsicana. Since our last show, the ladies have continued to show improvement. Here a look at some of the scores from our recent Lady Hawks action. The Lady Hawks will look to keep their playoff and district championship alive, and will have to be ready for all district foes, especially Maybank, Lancaster, and Ennis, according to Coach Stanfield. The Lady Hawks will look to floor leadership of Amy Hafner, Joy Pruitt, Janet Hooker, and Emily Hollenbeck during their quest to the playoffs. The ladies will have home district games against Ennis October 5th, Lancaster October 8th, Athens October 19th, and will finish up with a non-district game on October 26th against Cleveland. So come out and support our Lady Hawks as they look to notch up another district championship. Just like the Lady Hawks, the Hawks soccer teams have set a pretty strong tradition of making the playoffs and even a state title just 2 years ago. It is hard work and dedication of the soccer athletes that makes winning a regular event at Red Oak. And for more on one soccer player who hopes his hard work in the offseason will lead to great things in the regular season this year, we go to Hawkeye News sports reporter Robert Kent. Robert?
Thanks, Brady. I don't know if a lot of you heard or not, but this past summer, Matt Esparza took a trip to Brazil. He played soccer, met new friends, and got to do a lot of things that most of us might not ever even see or do. Matt Esparza is a senior at Red Oak High School. He plays varsity soccer and is a good friend to a lot of us. He's very involved in school and other well-distinguished organizations. Matt tends to stay very busy, and this summer he did not take off like most of us did. Instead, he went to soccer camp in a different country all summer long. Thanks to computers, he was able to stay in touch with all of his friends and family in Red Oak the entire time. Matt was lucky enough to play with other guys from around the world, including Brazilians, Koreans, Chinese, and others. Matt was also able to spend some time watching professional games in Brazil and learn from some of the best players in the world. His stay allowed him the opportunity to see some of the awesome sights of Brazil while practicing and playing games almost every day. To learn more about his trip, we pulled Matt away from his busy schedule for a few moments to ask him some of our questions.
The Brazilians, soccer, it's their lifestyle over there. They train all day long, and at night school is optional, so they'd probably go to school for about 2 hours, and that's why they're so much better than we are in soccer. I mean, that's all they do. If they, like at the club, if they didn't cut it, then they were sent home, so every day was like a trial to them. They took it serious. One of the most important things I learned there was practice, because that's all they did, and that's how they get so good at what they do. And over here, there's so much distractions. Unlike over there, it's all we had to do was practice. There's nothing else you could do. You'll see what a professional game is like, what goes on there, the stadium. You'll see how many people show up for each game. We did that every Saturday. We'd go to one of the games. And then also you'll see the training facility, and that was a really nice complex. It's probably about the size of our entire high school complex, but it's just soccer fields and dorm rooms. And they had a mini stadium there, and they had all the things that the professional players would need. They had a weight room, they had pool, they had sauna, they had everything you need to get better at soccer.
Well, Matt's a pretty interesting guy, so if you want to know more about him, catch him on McDonald's High School Athlete of the Week with Dale Hansen on Channel 8, or just say hey in the hall. For Hawkeye News, I'm Robert Kent. That's all, folks. Back to you, Brady.
Thanks, Robert, for bringing us that story. We hope all that hard work pays off for Matt and the rest of our boys soccer team as they gear up for another playoff run later this year. In other sports action, one of the team that many times gets little press but works hard, if not harder than all our other student athletes, is the cross-country team. After back-to-back district championships, our boys team is gaining recognition around the area, and this month we welcome Hawkeye News photojournalist Curtis Kelsey to give us a closer look at our boys cross-country team.
Thanks, Brady. That's right. Our boys cross-country athletes are hard at work preparing to bring home another district title for our school. And Coach Foster seems to have the guys peaking at just the right time. At school 5 days a week by 6:45 a.m., time to stretch and warm up before taking a 5 to 6 mile run. Not exactly what most of us students at Red Oak High School would call fun, but that's just what the special athletes who make up the boys cross country do every day. While many of us are still rolling over, getting those last few minutes or even hours of sleep, Coach Foster and boys cross country team are hitting the roads around Red Oak. The boys teams, JV and varsity, are made up of 17 guys who train and compete as one on Saturdays.
Each week our times are dropping and the kids they're getting in better shape, and we still have several more meets before district. We'll run district on October 27th, but I'm really hoping that if everyone stays healthy and they keep working hard, and we can go to district and have a chance to maybe win the district championship again.
The team is made up of these hard-working guys who look to make their mark in the upcoming district meet in October. By press time, the team will already have competed in 5 meets, with the upcoming meets at Hillcrest High School on October 9th and Sam Houston High School on October 16th. Before the all-important district meet, which will be held on October 27th, the team will look to advance to regionals, which will be held on November 6th at Arlington's Vandergrift Park. Our girls team is also working hard under the direction of Coach Veronica Reed, and we'll be taking a closer look at the girls team next month. We would like to thank Coach Foster for taking the time to talk to us on camera, and we would also like to wish our outstanding cross-country boys athletes best wishes in the upcoming district and hopefully regional meets. We will keep you posted on the team's progress in the upcoming months. Reporting for Hawkeye News Sports, I'm Curtis Kelsey.
That does it for another busy month in sports. We hope you join us next month for a closer look at the homecoming game and what lies ahead for district play in both football and volleyball, as well as an update on cross-country, ball tennis, and more. As always, we'd like to thank our coaches, Miss Sandy Stanglin, and our student athletes for all you do to represent Red Oak High School. From the Hawkeye News Sports Center, we kick it back to you, Natalie and Camille.
Thanks, Brady. This month, we check back with Hawkeye News reporter Katie Stanglin in this segment we call What's Up at the WC, to see what's going on at the freshman campus. Katie?
Hello, Red Oak High School. It's September now and school is well underway. This month from the West Campus, I bring you a very heartwarming story of some very special kids who are touching the lives of many. Many of you may not even know what CBI stands for. Well, it's the Community-Based Instruction class, and in this class they teach things that deal with daily living. Here at the West Campus, this class contains 4 kids and 3 very dedicated teachers. The extracurricular activity that corresponds with this class is Hawk Helpers, and this program has been around for the last 5 years. Hawk Helpers is for students who are on top of their grades and willing to work with these special kids. The Hawk Helpers go on various field trips and help out on numerous occasions, though it's only offered at the West Campus. If you ever happen to pass by their class, just stop in and give them a little hi. It can make all the difference. I look forward to reporting the many activities of these students for the rest of the school year. Well, that's it for September at the WC. I'm Katie Stanglin, Hawkeye News.
Thanks, Katie, and good luck to all the great Hawk Helpers and our good friends from the CBI unit this year.
Each month, we like to find out what is going on at Red Oak Junior High, and we welcome back our junior high correspondent, Lexi Belode, to give us the good news from Red Oak Junior High in this segment we call Junior High in Review. Lexi?
Thanks, Natalie and Camille. Red Oak Junior High is off and running, and this month we take a look at dress code changes and an update on our junior high volleyball and football teams in this month's Junior High in Review. As students entered the halls of Red Oak Junior High, they were excited to discover a change in the dress code. In the past, flip-flops once seemed unacceptable are now allowed. The rest of the school dress code for Red Oak Junior High remained basically the same. So leave the shower shoes at home, keep those shirts tucked in, no offensive language on your clothes, and getting dressed will be a snap. In sports at Red Oak Junior High, our volleyball teams have been working hard under the leadership of coaches Morris and Sumbler. The teams have several matches coming up in the next couple of months, so come out to Red Oak Junior High and support your Lady Hawks volleyball teams this season.
Our 7th and 8th grade football teams are also getting their season underway on September 14th against Kaufman, and I will bring you more results from this and other games in next month's show. Remember, if the 7th grade is home, the 8th grade is away, so you can catch Red Oak Junior High football action every Tuesday at our stadium. So come out and support our Junior High Hawks. That about wraps it up for another busy month, but if you're ever at Red Oak Junior High and have a neat story idea, please let me know and I will try and get your story on future editions. Reporting for Hawkeye News, I'm Lexi Below, and that was your Junior High interview. Back to you, Natalie and Camille.
That does sound like a lot going on at the junior high, Lexi. Thanks for the update. We will see you next month.
While many of us look forward to that wonderful extra holiday on our calendars that normally comes in September or October, we sometimes forget that Fair Day can also be an unsafe day if we don't practice good safety rules at the fair. This month, Hawkeye News crime reporter J.D. Foster brings us some great safety tips from the Fair Park in Dallas. J.D.?
Natalie and Camille, as you can see behind me, it is almost state fair time, and by the time our show airs, the fair will already be well underway. In this month's crime report, we wanted to spend a little time telling our students how to keep from becoming a victim of crime while attending the Great State Fair of Texas here in Dallas.
This month's drug and crime report is brought to you by the Bassett Firm, Texas Trial Attorneys.
In past years, many will remember hearing a lot of negative things about fair safety from the network newscasts. Back in the mid to late 90s, crime had risen to an alarming rate and had many fair officials worried about lost attendance due to the crime. With this, fair officials and Dallas police have stepped up a strong police presence around the fairgrounds, thus showing a substantial drop in crime to fairgoers the past several years. Some of the things we should remember are to never walk alone. Go in groups and, if possible, large groups, especially when walking into the parking lot areas around the fair. Many crimes we heard about in past years were taking place in the parking lots. Students should also remember it is always safer to attend the fair during the daylight hours. Most motor vehicle burglaries occur during the late night hours. Students should also try to park in the fairground parking lots, not on private properties. Many residents in the area allow people to park on their property for a fee. This does not assure you any extra protection and, as a matter of fact, opens you up to a great chance of having your car broken into. Remember, never leave personal items in clear view in your car, and whenever possible, secure radios, cell phones, and other items in the trunk if you must leave them in the vehicle. Most students now also carry cellular phones. This is a good idea at the fair. Make sure you have your phone secured tightly to yourself or in a bag that can be carried easily. Guys, keep those wallets tucked into your pocket and not hanging out where pickpockets have an easy target. Always be mindful of who is around when you are taking out money. It only takes a second for someone to grab and run with your cash. The fair has hired hundreds of officers to work the fairgrounds, some in uniform, others in plain clothes undercover. So if you need an officer, one should be easily found in the towers around the fairgrounds. These are just a few tips to hopefully help all of us think while we are out there enjoying the Midway, all the great food and fun at the fair. If you need more information on the fair, you can check out their official website at www.bigtex.com. We hope everyone gets a chance to check out and enjoy the fair, which runs September 24th to October 17th. Many of our FFA students, band members, and others will be taking part in the fair events this year, so stay safe and have a great time at the Great State Fair of Texas. Reporting from Fair Park here in Dallas, I'm J.D. Foster. Back to you, Natalie and Camille.
Thanks again, J.D., for another informative report. We hope all our students who get a chance to visit the State Fair this year have a great time as they visit with Big Tex.
That's it for this edition of Hawkeye News. Next time, we will bring you an interesting story on what many are asking about these days. What is up with the new laws on school nutrition, and why can't we have certain candy and things?
These stories, along with a closer look at new class officers and much more, coming up next month, so stay tuned to Hawkeye News.
We also want to remind you that we would really love to hear from you. So if you have any news ideas, comments, or suggestions, you can write us at hawkeyenews@redokeisd.org or give us a call at 972-617-4312, mailbox number 4. You can also watch us on Varsity TV on the internet. To check out Hawkeye News or any other news shows on VTV, you can click on www.myvtv.com.
I'm Camille Webster.
And I'm Natalie Hillary. Join us next time for our spooktacular Halloween edition of Hawkeye News. Thanks for watching and make it a great day.